to you first on this, David, because it's now reported that Chelsea might start to look at him and try and hijack. I mean, Chelsea are looking at a lot of inside forwards and wingers. What's your take on Antony to Chelsea?
I have a special place for Antony because I found him on FM, I think it was like 19, and he was like some 17-year-old kid, and he became like the best player in the world. So I will not say anything. I have never watched him play a game of football. I'll be very honest. God. I've never watched him. But if he was to join Chelsea, I'd be there like, this kid's winning the Ballon d'Or. Just because I've seen it happening in my game. It's going to happen in real life. It's all vibes. I know nothing about this kid. All I know is he's fast. He does a lot of skills, and like he's like a very good Eredivisie winger. However, how that's going to translate over to the Premier League, I'm not too sure. But can he be worse than like Pulisic? Can he be worse than Timo Werner? Can he be worse than Ziyech? Probably not. And if he's only going to be 40, 45 mil, take a punt.
I thought Ziyech was all right. I see all this Ziyech slander on the timeline. I don't get it. Man. I thought
Ziyech is like Ziyech. It's if I don't do one thing magical a game, I do nothing. So he will have a ball where he whips it in and it's perfect. Back post.
He scored a worldie against us. Maybe like, that's what's tinting my thing.
Genuinely, he'll have a moment every 5-7 games where you're like, oh my god, but he can't replicate it.
Okay, and he needs I question Antony because I think coming from the Eredivisie, players struggle. Bergwijn was supposed to be a big player when he came to Tottenham. He struggled. Hakim Ziyech, big player, came to Chelsea, struggled, and both those players had better numbers than Antony while they're in the Eredivisie. So if he comes over, I'm questioning how quickly he'll adjust and if he even adjusts, because those two players I just mentioned, you could say they've yet to adjust to the Premier League.
Yeah, was it obviously Bergwijn hasn't. The frustrating thing about Bergwijn is that when he plays for Holland, he looks amazing, but when he plays for Spurs, other than Leicester last year, he don't see a good player. So yeah, it is a tricky one. There are good other players that came, like obviously Eriksen, his first stint in the Premier League, he was fantastic, hit the ground running. Jan Vertonghen as well. So there are players. I know you got to go back a bit.
And Percy, Suarez,
even Toby Alderweireld as well. So there are players.
Also, the league was better back then, right? The Eredivisie was better back when they were there. It's dead now. So
when
the Eredivisie was better back then.
I don't know. I feel like the Eredivisie from about the early 2000s onwards has just been it's been a good league, but there hasn't been very many years in the past 20 where we've looked at the team going into the Champions League out of Holland and the Netherlands and gone, they could be dangerous this year. Yeah.
I mean, ultimately it's hit or miss with the players. Like the ones that we named, it's 50-50. It's never definitive. Definitely. I think Antony needs development. I don't think he's anywhere near being like Sancho will be good next season because he was always a good player and he's already developed. It's fine. Antony needs development. Like, he's a good player, but right now it's like a lot of skills and vibes. And so I wouldn't imagine he hits the ground running, but I don't think he needs to because there's Rashford, there's Sancho, he can have more time. But you look at his numbers, if he was really, really good and ready to go, he'd have way better numbers in the Eredivisie because it's a very weak league. So, but yeah, I think he's a development player, but he could be something really special.
It's interesting. So go on, David. Go on, mate.
I was going to say, his underlying numbers are actually really good. That's one thing that does, when you look at his numbers, it's not like the actual goals and assists. When you look under it, it's like he progresses the ball really well, whether that's passing or whether that's with his feet. He gets a lot of shots off. He creates a lot of chances. They just haven't transferred over to good numbers yet. So is that an Ajax thing, or is that him just being a bit unlucky? Not sure. But again, I'm pure vibes with this kid because I discovered him a couple of years ago. I bought it for 20 mil.
It depends.
It's pure vibes.
It depends what your expectations are. If you guys are expecting him to come in and start week in, week out and keep Rashford out of the team, I don't know if he's going to be able to do that at this age. We're going to have to wait and see.
But are United buying him for the sole purpose to play him on the right? Rashford doesn't like to play on the right. Sancho doesn't really like to play on the right. He prefers to play on the left. Rashford has said he prefers to play on the left. So if we're going to buy a winger, then we solely need to buy a winger who's going to play consistently on the right.
But then I'm saying temper your expectations because he is young, and as Jess said, he still needs development. So you're gonna have the expectations and the pressure of playing for Manchester United. He's gonna be asked to produce 10 plus goals and at least like 5 plus assists per all season. So if he can't hit those targets, you're gonna see people putting a lot of pressure on him.
I don't think anybody's saying he's like a bad player or anything. It's just he may not hit the ground running. I don't think that's like a far-fetched thing to say.
And I just want to say, with United, and since Sir Alex Ferguson has retired, what player has come in on a summer transfer and hit the ground running straight away? The only person who has come in, I think, from a transfer and hit the ground running straight away was Bruno Fernandes, and he came in January. So he came in midway from the season, which is why I feel like with the whole De Jong saga, I worry that if this saga just plays out for the whole summer and we end up signing him, he's going to have high expectations on his shoulders. Same way with when we brought Sancho after a year of trying to get him, he came in and there was high expectations on his shoulders. And, you know, he didn't disappoint, but again, he came into a situation which wasn't ideal with Oli inconsistently playing on the right, on the left. He didn't really know where his position was in the club. So if we're going to go all out for Antony, because to be honest, there's not many right wingers on the market right now. Ousmane Dembele, I saw that he's being linked to actually staying at Barca today. So there's not a lot of right wingers that we're really linked to at the moment. So if we're going to go all out for Antony, he's going to come in and he has to hit the ground running straight away. Like, there's no exception to be like, oh, he's young, he's talented, he's this, he's that. If he's talented, then he'll be able to work with his manager that he's been working with in the past, and he'll be able to get the best out of him from day one.
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea are linked with this kind of gate crashing, hijacking type notion, but Sterling and Dembele appear to be their main targets. Rafinha, Richarlison, maybe Antony kind of sit behind that. In terms of just reading Chelsea news, it feels like that's the kind of pecking order. But if you look at what the top journalists now in the Netherlands are saying, that because of the Sebastian Haller and whoever else have now left, is it Gravenbach? Is that how it's pronounced? Because they've all gone already. Yeah. They're looking at anywhere between sort of 60s and 80 million euros now for the Timbers, the Lisandro Martinez's, and the Antonys to leave. Now, of course, the Ajax are going to push that out. Is there a possibility that when the deals are all said and done, clubs can negotiate that down? Of course. At the same time, though, if you do end up spending 60, 70 million pounds on a player, there has to be that pressure for them to deliver. And then that's where your recruitment team and your manager, in this case, Ten Hag or Thomas Tuchel, has got to be sure that those players can deliver. And for me, I don't really worry about the player being able to handle it or not per se. That's just part and parcel of football. You sign for the biggest football club in the world, there's pressure. You can already see with the glint in Gal's eye and the smile on his face. He's like, oh, I hope you do spend some big money so that I as a rival can put pressure on them failing. And listen, I grew up with it. It's how it is. Man, everything Man United do is gargantuan. You know, we don't get the academy player leaves. It's trending news. You know, all of you tweet about Man United every single day. So of course, it's usual to see and feel that. And if my players can't handle it, then they're not. It's like with Uri and Timber. Oh, I don't want to go to United because I might not get in the first team. Then you're not a Man United player yet. You're not ready for Man United, and that's actually a good sign. You know, we should not be buying players that don't fancy themselves to be able to get into this shit show. Imagine not thinking you get into this team. Like, that for me is the maddest thing here. Do you know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Do you know what I mean? But certainly going to be an interesting one with the prices that are now being discussed. As a super chat here that says, y'all shouldn't forget. Ten Hag wants to build a system so individual stats don't matter to him much. It's the caliber and suitability, not the individual stats.
That's a good point, I guess. Yeah, you got to have a team unit. Yeah, makes sense. But you still need quality in those components for the cog and the machine to work. So, you know, individual stats, yes, but you still need quality to make the wheels turn. So yeah.
I think then if you want to apply that, you have to apply that to every single player that goes somewhere that doesn't have huge stats and say that it's about suitability. You know, I've seen recently that Rafinha is not that good because his statistics aren't out of this world. Well, maybe Arteta is looking for suitability and it doesn't really matter the individual stats. They do matter for wingers and things like that. And that's why I'm saying it's not that he's going to be a bad player. I'm sure he fits right into Ten Hag's system. I'm just not sure that he's going to hit the ground running. That's pretty much all it is.
I forgot about the Ten Hag factor.
Yeah, I mean, but what I would say to Agow is this: you've got someone like Odegaard as an example. Now, there are a lot of people that think Martin Odegaard is a better attacking midfielder than Bruno, not because he assists or scores more, but because of how the game flows through him better. Holds on to possession more, brings more people into play, because that's what he's kind of good at. But that's the point of a system, isn't it? It's around having those key components to kind of fit. And of course, it's very easy when Man United or any club are linked to a player, he'll flop at your club. It doesn't take a genius to go, he'll flop, and have no real substance behind it. None of us really know. There's more likely that a lot of United players have flopped, but we all know that's because we just haven't really had a good enough plan. The hope is this time around we get it right. It's very easy and very predictable to predict that we're going to win, but that we're going to fail in that way. It's a bit like it's very easy to predict the Man City win in every game they play in, because 79% of the time you're right. It's a very easy prediction to make. So I kind of get it, but the system will be very interesting to see indeed. Antony is after the money. Maybe he is. Something someone put in here in a minute that made me laugh is, why is Terry wearing a Make United Great cap again?
That MAGA.
I did think, as a white man wearing a red hat, I knew there'd be at least one comment saying that. You know what I mean? But, there we go. Great joke. Thank you. Well done. Buzzing. Honestly, I can give you a gold star for that one, brother. But there we go. I want to stay on Chelsea a little bit, though, because the news today.